Namaste.
Namaste, Denise. What a pleasure to sit with you here in Cyprus.
And you?
You're from England?
Yes.
And you have practiced yoga for 48 years.
Yes.
Oh my Lord. When your daughter was how old?
She was a baby. She was just about 3 months old.
All right.
Yes.
And how long have you lived here in Cyprus now?
20 years soon.
Why did you come here?
Well, it was my husband that decided that he'd like to live here.
All right.
There is a story to it, but he said, I think I could live here.
Yes. Yes.
And I embraced it.
And you like it?
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
You're still teaching yoga, right?
Yes, I started teaching yoga just after I got here.
That was 18, 20 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what's your lineage? With whom did you start yoga?
The very first practice I ever did was Iyengar Yoga,
Yes.
Mr. Iyengar. And I learned very soon in my experience, from that teacher. She was a very good teacher, but she taught me something that I realized that wasn't yoga. And it was, she used to get me up in front of the class, ask me to do the asana, and then tell the rest of the class, this is how it should be done. And I thought, why is she doing that? And it did bother me. And about 6 weeks later, when I got very friendly with one of the girls in the class, she said to me, every time our teacher asks you to go into a yoga asana and says, this is how it should be done, it makes me feel about that small because I can't do it. And that's when I realized that is not yoga.
No.
It's not about how it should be done.
No.
Perfect body posture, whatever.
Perfect outside.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I was really pleased that that was my very first experience of yoga and how not to do it. So it was really good to know that was as I started.
Mm-hmm. And did you go then to another teacher?
Yes, I had a few teachers as I moved around, because I moved from that area. Mm-hmm. And I moved around, and they all had, interestingly, the basis was Mr. Iyengar, BKS Iyengar's yoga. Mm-hmm. And it was quite, very precise and very
linear.
Yes, and I believe in those days he even used to stand on, he used to stand on people's hands in Adho Mukha Svanasana, in downward dog, because it's got to be precise. So yeah.
So initially you started yoga, you told me before, because you felt like this cannot be all in life, right?
Yes.
You were looking for something deeper, more profound, a path that you could develop spiritually.
Yes, there's more to life than what I know.
Right.
At that time.
Right.
Yes.
And you were 24.
Yes.
And now you're 72.
Yes.
Yes. And when did you think of starting to teach? How did that go?
It was really when I was going to come to live in Cyprus. Mm-hmm. I had done yoga teacher training before then, and when I came out here I thought, well, maybe I will teach, maybe I will see how I feel and how it goes, and whether it was the environment and the relaxation that I came into. Mm-hmm. And I had time. I had a lot more time than I had before I left England. And I felt, yes, I really looked at what my purpose was. And I felt my purpose was I wanted to share the yoga that I had experienced with others. And that's how it started.
So, and did your yoga style change over the years? Like you said, the Iyengar was very about alignment and very I would say male, young, kind of structured. Let's put it this way. Did anything change in your yoga practice in the last 10 years, in your yoga teaching? Did you do something else?
I think it's evolved very slowly. My basis of my teaching has been on the Iyengar style, but a softer approach. Because as he got older, he realized that he had to soften as well.
Yes.
And I saw that. But then my own ideas came in to make it a little bit more flowing. And also, and then it's been much more recently, I feel that I brought in the idea of bringing in what it makes you feel, breathing in, and bringing in that when you're doing the actual asana, you've got the shape, the form, but what does it mean to you emotionally? So
inside.
Yes. Breathing in that universal life force energy and sending it to maybe the parts of the body in this moment that might need a little help.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing that I may say as you're going into it. And the breath is very powerful.
Yes.
And I feel that the movement follows the breath.
Yes.
You breathe in and your movement follows. And I often will, whatever asana that we're flowing into, I will often say, breathe into your solar plexus, because this is your will and your purity, your power center. So often I will say, bring the energy of the sun into your solar plexus chakra. Get a sense of that golden healing light.
Right.
And that kind of thing, I will bring that in. So that's where it's changed. Rather than, I do like to feel that people are going into an asana and it is in alignment.
Yes.
But I always say to somebody, an example of Trikonasana, where it's not about going right down to the ground.
Right.
It's about just going into the right, in the correct way with the breath, and just go as far as your knee when you do that side bend. And if your upper part of your body starts to fall forward, you've gone down too far.
Yeah.
So slide down the leg and find that point. You're aiming to get a nice stretch in the other side of the body. So it's not about how far can I go down.
Right. So basically what you're teaching them is to be in contact also with their energy body, with their capability to move in their body, and not get the information from their ego.
Yes.
Because our egos, they say, oh, she said grab the toe, and I go down, grab the toe, and then I pull a ligament, and then it's the yoga teacher's fault, because my ego was basically driving my whole movement, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The word jumping in yoga just is not in my vocabulary. I used to do it when I first started. I was young, and dynamic, and yes, I can do that.
Yes.
But I don't advocate that for even young people coming into yoga, because you have to be kind to your body. I do certain things with them that you would think isn't yoga in the class, to protect the knees. You know, I'm into sort of massaging the knees and massaging the hamstrings. So jumping, you never know what your back, the state of your back is going to be, I feel it can damage. So I don't feel the necessity to jump into an asana. And I always feel too, softening, it's not always necessary to have straight legs when the asana says it's straight legs. I'm very, very into, in warrior pose, making sure that your knee is in alignment. That's very important to protect the knees.
Yes.
You know, and I always make a point of it should never go beyond your heel, knee always in line with the, and that kind of thing. And your knee is central. If you look down at your foot, that's important. That alignment is important.
Yes.
But you can. Poetic license is not the right word, but for want of better, you can soften
and be mindful about it. I think that's very important. That there is a teacher out there, but the teacher doesn't know my body.
That's why I say about listening to your body.
Yes.
That I do say that. Yes.
And I think that's so important nowadays, that there's really great teachers out there, and they can do great poses for Instagram, and they can really go into the splits without warming up. And then people try it at home, or even online they do yoga. And I think would be so important that people for themselves start just listening. What do I need? You know, it might be a young teacher and you're 40, 50 years old or menopausing. Of course you're going to need a complete different movement than a 30-year-old out there, right?
Yes. And you mentioned about warming up.
Yes.
I never go straight into asanas without a warm-up.
Yes.
A warm-up is important for everybody.
Yes.
And you do see some lessons where they go straight into.
Yes.
And to me, warming up with sun salutations, Surya Namaskar, is not necessarily that's not a warm-up.
You have to be warmed up.
You need to be warmed up for any of those. Yes.
Yeah. So I believe that too, and I do a lot of doing and a lot of knocking and massaging before we actually start the sun salutation. So the next question I have is your experience. Can you tell us a couple things that totally blew your mind on feedback of your classes? Did anyone come to you recently? I know you're teaching in a hotel on the island, right? And a lot of traumatized people come there.
Yes.
Traumatized from war and traumatized from different situations.
Yes.
And can you tell us an example?
Yes. There was a husband and wife couple. And he hadn't done any exercise at all. Yoga was totally something he hadn't experienced, and she got him to come to the yoga. And the thing that he felt that he took away from it, he did very well, and I could see he was listening to me. And I was saying, bend your knees if you need to, and all this kind of, and I was watching. And he was listening
too, right?
Yes, and he was listening, and he enjoyed it. And he said, the one thing, he didn't just come to one class, he came to more than one. He said, the one thing I will take home from this, the advice that you gave me was, listen to your body. And to go, he was, obviously prepared to go within. And it must have been difficult for him, being in that trauma.
For sure.
But he felt he got some, and I saw him smiling, whereas he wasn't smiling when we started. And his wife, she had quite profound experience. She came to more classes than he did, and at the end of the last class, she came up to me and she said, before I came to your classes, I couldn't breathe. She was so traumatized she couldn't breathe. So she said, now I can breathe. And that was a real advancement for her.
And
she felt that she'd made progress. The trauma was that they had lost their son had died in the line of duty in the war.
Protecting
he
other men.
He protected other men, and he saved the lives of other men by giving his own life. And so they were really I felt that something had come out of there's always good that can come out of adversity.
Yes.
And I felt that they made some progress.
Yes.
And they did too. And she cried. We had a hug and she cried, and so she released. But yeah, that's just one experience.
So you planted an amazing seed through your work, and that was initially what you wanted to do when you started yoga, to find those seeds in you that you can pass on to humanity to lighten up their life, right?
That's very well. I couldn't have put it better myself. That is
your last
yes.
Phrase or sentence, I've heard it from you before, about us coming into life. Would you want to repeat that? We came into life.
Ah, yes.
I love that so much. I had tears in my eyes.
I feel, and I do say it to the classes, I feel that we come into this world as light beings, and we lose that light because we all have darkness in our lives. And there is a particular exercise that I do where we're separating the clouds, and I always say, we have the darkness, just imagine you're separating the clouds to see the light.
Yes.
Bring that light back in whenever you can and radiate that light outwards.
And as soon as we become aware of our clouds, we have a choice to be in them or to move towards the light, right?
Yes. Yes.
And isn't that what yoga and meditation gives us, the choice to step out of our identification, of our pain, of our trauma?
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that the gift of yoga?
Yes. And the physical, which we all start with yoga, develops into the emotional and then the spiritual, because they're all connected, the mind, body, spirit.
Yes.
Eventually you will integrate. Yeah.
Do the namaste, right? It'll integrate
yes.
in the prayer position of the yin and the yang.
Yes, that's something that I feel is so beneficial to us.
Yes.
Is balancing our yin and yang, because
Yes.
life itself is about balance.
Yes.
It's not always an easy thing to do. No.
But we didn't think it would be easy, did we? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thanks so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you.